It's a brand new
What is good? Broncos country is riding high off of an improbable win against the Buffalo Bills on Monday Night Football after the Bills had a players-only meeting after all their players came out and said, well, there's no panic, but if we lose this next game, pull the fire alarm. Well, we went into Buffalo on a cold November night and we dominated the Bills, especially on defense. And people have pushed back to that notion that we dominated them, but if it were not for one of the craziest fumbles I've ever seen where the ball literally bounced back up into the running back's hands after a beautiful strip by Justin Simmons, we win that game by double digits when we were almost double digits underdogs, as we were 8-point dogs, and multiple ESPN analysts picked us to lose by so much more than that. It has gotten so bad that the media has come out and actually apologized to Vance Joseph for all of it. And what is behind all of this turnaround? And you're looking right at him. It is our man, Pat Surtain II, affectionately known as PS2. And I have some stats today that are just going to just blow your mind about how good he is. It's going to change your entire view of like what a corner could be, what a corner could do. When you want to build a team, I would prioritize when I'm doing a Madden fantasy draft, corner is like the fourth player I want to go for. I'm usually going quarterback at 1, then I need a defensive lineman, an offensive lineman to keep them clean, and then I go corner. But Pat Surtain has totally broken my view of like what a corner can do for your team, because he single-handedly is responsible for our defensive turnaround, is the way he has played over these past couple games. We're going to break that down. But I think it's important first to look at a lot of people just a few weeks ago when they weren't predicting that we are going to even make the playoffs, came out and like laughed at us for not considering any trades for him. Yet you look at now with this playoff push, and who would you rather have on our team right now than Pat Surtain? I don't think anyone. When we drafted him over Justin Fields, I was doubtful, and now I'm an absolute believer. You might even see next season a number 2 up on the wall of Peltz, because he is playing out of his mind. So, yeah, a couple people actually came out and said we had offers on the table from multiple teams that were very similar to the offer that the Jalen Ramsey trade that was multiple first-round picks, and even then, I do not think they are going to be worth it. We're going to look at why I think that is. So I think one of the first things here is that Pat Surtain has been insanely healthy and durable. We've heard over and over and over that what's your greatest ability in the NFL? It is availability, right? It's your durability. That's your greatest ability. And you look at here, and he has 1,533 active snaps, which is the longest by a defender by a very significant margin. Another cool thing is like you look at those other names, and do any of those pop off the screen? It's like he's on the field all the time, and you hear great things about the Bosa brothers or about Aaron Donald, but it feels like those guys are always dinged up. And even Hutchinson here in Detroit, I'm living in Michigan now. He seems like he's always hurt or has a nagging injury. And Surtain, if he is dinged up, he plays through it, and he always is playing at an elite net level. So looking at a couple things here, we heard over and over all week about how Stefon Diggs was fired up and he was going to make the Broncos eat their lunch, and we hadn't faced a person who could get the ball out. We hadn't faced a number 1 like Diggs. And Diggs, when he was matched up by Surtain, had 1 catch for 11 yards. And I think that is just an absolute testament to the fact that if you have Pat Surtain, he truly cuts off that entire side of the field. That he had interceptions where people are like, how on earth did he even get there? How did he read that? How is he able to switch his hips so fast and go from running backwards to he's running forward, and he looks like he's the receiver for the ball? And so you just see stuff like this where he's always healthy and always on the field. He is locking down whoever the next team's number 1 receiver is, and we maybe would have lost that game against Buffalo if Stefon Diggs played. Oh, he did play? Oh, okay. Well, because I didn't see him out there, and I didn't see him as a difference maker, and so that's cool. You look here, and even just I remember first game of the season, which we would have won against the Raiders if Lutz hadn't missed field goals, and that really is his only game of purely horrible field goals. So I think that's a win for us. But looking at our record at 4-5, we easily could be 5-5 with that opening week game against the Raiders. We could have won. But you look, Davante Adams, that regardless of all the absolute drama in Oakland, Las Vegas right now, Davante Adams is one of the best receivers in the league. And look at his numbers here, that he had 2 receptions for 11 yards. So he matched Diggs' total there. But just the fact that Surtain shadowed him for 16 of his 26 routes and completely shut him down. And you see the exact same thing here with how he shut down Garrett Wilson. And just even though, again, we lost to the Jets in the Nathaniel Hackett revenge game, you just see that Pat Surtain is built different. Pat Surtain is nasty, as the kids would say. And I think that makes this week's matchup against the Minnesota Vikings a great one to watch, because if Jefferson is back, their absolute stud of a wideout, I'm not even worried whatsoever. And I think the other insane thing is that, we held the Chiefs to, I think, 1 for 28 for touchdown drives, and a big part of that Surtain. So if Surtain has these kind of numbers against Joshua Allen and Patrick Mahomes, what is he going to do to the Pastronaut this week? He's going up against Dobbs, who, you could have picked him up off of the scrap heap. And yes, he's very smart, but I just feel great that Pat Surtain has played his best against the best quarterbacks in the entire NFL. And we don't have another great quarterback that we're playing this year. You could argue that Herbert is great, but I think Herbert is very similar to Josh Allen, and I feel great about that matchup. All right, Broncos country, let's ride.